Bismillah wa salawatu wa salamu ala rasulullah wa ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, yesterday Sam Shamoun and Ijaz Ahmed had a debate, and Sam Shamoun made some very interesting claims about the OT. And today we have a Jew, Al Yahudi, who is reacting to this. So, Al Yahudi, you can introduce yourself.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shalom aleichem b'rachmanas Hashem b'rechoso. I am Yahudi. On Discord, you can call me Yossi. I've appeared a few times on SC Dawa. Sorry, I'm also known as Piska. I've appeared a few times on SC Dawa and other, religious debate-related live streams or programs, etc. I also appeared on Sam Shamoun's channel. You can find it on a channel called Look Up, a dialogue with Yossi the Jew on the Trinity, and today, Be'ezras Hashem, we can look over the statements that Sam Shamoun made within his debate with Ijaz the Trini, and respond to them accurately. All right.
All right, let's start the video then.
Presents God in my mind. It just seems to follow from the text that is the case. Now, you did mention that this is an idiom. I got to be honest with you. I tried looking up to see if there's any corresponding phrase now that I began to speak to my Lord in any Semitic context, and I didn't seem to get it. But you seem to know a number of verses related to Genesis 18. Is there a particular verse that demonstrates that idiom?
Yeah. Context, the immediate context shows, now that I began speaking to the Lord cannot mean that prior to this I wasn't speaking to him. Even your interpretation shows he was there before he spoke to him, because you just said, listen to what you just said, Ijaz. He's speaking to one of them as the Lord's representative. So then that means all throughout, he's speaking to someone whom he calls the Lord. What you're saying is the angel of the Lord. Now you want to have it in 27. Now he's talking to someone else, specifically, presumably the Lord himself. Then whoever this being was, and now he ignores him and speaks to the Lord in heaven, whereas he's addressing this individual, and he's telling this individual in the verses before and after, well, if you find 50, will you destroy it? No, I won't. 45, no. Now, in the midst of the context, 27, he now says, hold on, let me now pray to the Lord in heaven. Even though I was talking to you as if you're the Lord, now I'm going to pray to the Lord in heaven. I pray you now, Lord, because now I'm addressing you, not your agent. So then, who is he addressing after 27, when in 33 it says, and the Lord went his way. The Lord didn't go anyway, according to you, because he's in heaven, and Abraham's praying to him. So whoever this Lord is, leaves. So even if you want to say it's the angel, you're still making the point. Someone's on earth that Abraham's talking to as the Lord. You want to say agency, and I'm saying, no, it's not agency. It's God in human form, because you're confusing, and I don't say this to attack you. You're confusing the difference between the omnipresence of God, that the entire creation is before him, and God's ability to then manifest himself visibly at a specific location without this implying that he stops being omnipresent. I mean, that's not how the Bible works. God can appear here and still be omnipresent. He can appear 50,000 places simultaneously and still be omnipresent. Manifesting his presence visibly and being omnipresent, there's no conflict. You wanted to have a conflict? Well,
Pause the video.
All right.
All
What would
right.
you
So,
have to say about that?
what'd you say?
What would you like to say about that? That's what I said.
Okay, so the thing is that Sam Shamoun here, he makes a mistake that he's consistently made in the majority of his conversations, including with me, regarding the angel of the Lord. And the thing is that Sam Shamoun makes the mistake of essentially having a presumption when it mentions the word the Malach Hashem, the angel of the Lord. He makes a mistake with a presumption that essentially the angel of the Lord is a personified angel, as the angel Gabriel or the angel Michael or the angel Ephraim are personified angels with specific personalities and qualities to them that make them distinct from other angels. What Sam Shamoun does not understand here is that an angel, the Malach Hashem, is an easy intermediary, right? A Malach is always going to refer to a shliach, right? A messenger, which is essentially God, which is the way that God acts on earth. In this case as well, we see that the Malach, of course, is God's intermediary on earth. Now, does this mean that the Malach has a personification? We see that throughout the entirety of the Tanakh, we do not see a separate personification for the Malach Hashem, as Gabriel or Michael would, as aforementioned. So the thing is, right, we understand that in the Tanakh, the Malach Hashem, okay, it can be, is God's shliach, and therefore, it is essentially God uses the Malach Hashem like you would use a telephone. where God's voice is projected unto essentially unto the various prophets such as Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, etc. when they appear before them. So God's voice essentially will, the reason why the Malach Hashem refers to himself in the third person is because of the fact that God's voice is being projected from it. Okay, God's voice as in, translated essentially into, something of human comprehension. So, for example, right, the Malach Hashem, we don't necessarily see a physical appearance being outlined for it within this instance. So, essentially, right, we understand that this is not necessarily a voice that the prophet Abraham, right, he hears from it coming from a certain direction, and this is, of course, the voice of the Lord. Now, when it says the Lord goes his way, this is once again a very ambiguous passage, right? And essentially, what is understood here as well, it is either the voice, stops speaking to Avraham Avinu after God has essentially, after God has finished a certain dialogue with him, and essentially he is now awaiting Avraham's return, so he can transmit another message to him through a malach. All right, go on.
All right then.
I'm just letting you know there's none, but go ahead.
Okay, so I understood what you said. I understand that you think that God can have a corporeal form. Now, obviously, do you agree that as a Muslim, I can't believe that?
That's difficult. Your particular Islam, sure. Yes. You particular.
Okay,
just like Christianity is not monolithic, Islam is not, but you. But I don't know if you're a Salafi, so I don't even know if you are.
No, I'm definitely not Salafi. I'm actually Sunni Maturidi. But
so yes, and you, according to your belief, Allah is bodiless. Yes.
So, because the text just seems, so again, I'm not debating with you. I'm just trying to follow.
What was it? Pause again. Sorry, I forgot to mention.
I understand your position.
All right.
Sorry, I forgot to mention, right? I forgot to mention that in certain instances, when it says the angel descends, or it says the angel of the Lord descends, when it's referring to an angel, that refers to itself in the third person speaking as God, like I am the Lord your God, such as the angel coming to Hagar, the angel coming to Yaakov, the angel coming to Abraham, etc. When it says that the angel either cried out Mashamayim from the heavens, or it says that the angel descended, the reason why it says these things within the Tanakh, even if the angel in a specific instance is not supposed to have a physical form and is only supposed to be a voice, of which the Nevi'im hear, right? The reason for such as saying, descending or from the heavens, etc., or putting the angel in a certain position is essentially the writer's attempt in the Tanakh, okay, to help the various readers understand the perspectives of the Nevi'im, and essentially give us better depth to understand the perception of the Nevi'im, of the prophets, when interacting with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when interacting with God. So, for example, when it says Mashamayim, right, the angel called out to Abraham from the heavens, this is essentially referring to the fact that Avraham Avinu had looked up, right, essentially when hearing and interacting with the angel, right, and he had heard a voice coming to him from essentially the sky in general, right? So, for example, Shemaim as well does also mean the sky. When it says the angel descended, this essentially means the same thing. The angel has descended. It's a very poetic way, very, very poetic thing. The angel has descended, right? And essentially, Yaakov Avinu, right? Yeah, Jacob looks up and he hears, he looks up or he hears a voice coming from a certain direction, etc. Vayarad. All right, continue.
He's speaking as if he's speaking to the Lord, and therefore it follows that the Lord is before him. However, it appears to me to be the case. It is possible he's interacting with someone who represents the Lord, and then by verse 27 or verse 26, he begins to supplicate to God, it seems to me. Because that phrase, I began to speak, triggers something in my mind. It does not make sense to say it just means he's speaking boldly, because he's spoken this way before from verse 22, and then it follows afterward the same trend of thought. So have I misunderstood?
I mean, I don't want to keep repeating the same point, Jess, because we're going to be here. So if you want to see it that way, then okay. I mean, I don't want to repeat the same thing 3 times. I already said contextually, in the context, is what it means. You can reject it, that's fine. But again, I don't want to keep engaging the same point over and again, because we're going to be here for another 20 minutes. Okay, so we can... something else, go ahead.
I see that someone has their hand up.
Okay, Joe, do you want to ask, you guys want one more question from the audience?
Final question, if Sam is up for it.
That's okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Joe,
by the way, did William come back, or did he bail out on me?
He's still here.
I'm back, brother. I had to go get food. I apologize.
You ready?
I'm back, brother.
Talk about the deity of Christ? Because after this,
I'm back here, brother. I'm back.
Okay, go ahead. They have a question because I thought you were going to bail out and let me be here till 3 in the morning. Come on, man.
No,
All right,
no. I went to grab me a little bit of food.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
Go ahead.
okay, Joe, you want to ask your question?
Yeah. Just quickly, but I think Sam earlier mentioned that in the burning bush, do you believe that was the angel of the Lord that appeared to Moses? And was that Jesus? Sorry, was that Jesus?
Hold on.
Yeah,
Joe,
to Sam. Yes, to Sam. Sorry.
Yeah, the angel or Exodus 3:2, and that's Jesus Christ.
That's Jesus. But then in Acts 7:30, it says that the angel that what appeared to Moses was an angel. It doesn't say the angel of the Lord appeared to Moses. It doesn't say Jesus.
Well, hold on, wait. You're confused now. You're saying Stephen is saying it's not the angel of the Lord, or is not saying it's Jesus? Make up your mind.
Well, he just said it's an angel. He just said it's an angel that appears to Moses.
He's
So
quoting
he doesn't
Acts
actually say
3,
that.
right? I'm answering you.
Acts 7:30. Acts 7:30.
He's quoting.
Pause.
Listen, I know you're a little
Pause.
nervous. Listen, Joe. In Acts 7,
Is it paused?
and I know what you're referring to, 30 to 35 and 38. I know the context very well. When he says an angel, and he's referring to the bush, you're saying that Stephen is saying it's an angel, but it's not the angel of the Lord. Even though he's referring to the text that the Jews know what it says, and in the Greek and in the Hebrew, any version says angel of the Lord. So you're saying he's denying it's the angel of the Lord?
But why wouldn't he just say it's Jesus that appeared to Moses?
And that's a different question. Let me repeat it again.
So now you're changing the
question. Let me repeat your question. He said it's an angel. He didn't say it's the angel of the Lord, and he didn't say it's Jesus. So can we at least agree when he says it's an angel, he does mean it's the angel of the Lord, right? Let's get that first correct so I can move to the Jesus part.
Yeah, it's an angel that appeared to
So
Moses.
it's the angel of the Lord. You agree he's referring to the angel of the Lord, right?
He doesn't say angel of the Lord. He says angel.
So he's quoting the text. If you're going to play games with the text, then don't waste your time.
I'm not playing games with the text. The text says angel.
Joe, let's try this
You're saying
again.
angel of the Lord, right?
Even if I say
it's your belief. It's your belief that is angel of the Lord.
Over me.
I want to point out how. I want to point out how Sam Shamoun consistently does this in every debate. When somebody brings up a point that he doesn't like, right? Sorry, I keep cutting out. Anyways, let me restart that because I keep cutting out. I love how Sam Shamoun does this in every debate. Okay, whenever somebody brings up a point that he does not like, okay, or somebody brings up a certain point that he disagrees with, okay, in any response, he will call it playing with the text. You can look at my debate where Sam Shamoun essentially says if you're going to essentially prove to me certain things or make rebuttals to my statements, you should look at the text or you should look at the language of the text because you know the Hebrew. And then when I do look at the language of the text, okay, he accuses me of essentially what he likes to call I think dancing around the verse, etc.
Yeah.
But that's just a funny thing I observed.
It's pretty common among Christian missionaries. It's a thing with Islam too, so I guess it's a thing with Jews.
Yeah.
Or am I going to address?
Hold on.
Stop.
Joe, you should allow Sam to answer your question, right? Yeah.
Does the man have to spell out that it's the angel of the Lord? Why can't he say in abbreviated form it's an angel when he's referring to Jews who know that angel is called the angel of the Lord? So if he's not the angel of the Lord, who is he? The angel of Sarah? So it is the angel of the Lord. So let's put that aside. Why would you expect Stephen to say to Jews who don't believe in Jesus or about to kill him, oh, that angel is Jesus Christ, when they don't believe in Jesus, they don't believe in him, they don't believe in testimony, and they're about to kill him? How much sense does it make to then say, hey, that's Jesus Christ? What are you talking about?
Well, if it was Jesus, you just have to say
Why?
Jesus.
Why?
Why wouldn't he say that? Is it all a mystery or something? Is it?
Okay, guys.
Okay, all right.
You want to speak to
I just want to add another thing. Sam, don't worry about that. So Genesis 18, the three angels that you're talking about
doesn't say three angels.
If that's I know, but
it does.
I know that's what you're saying.
Angels.
Okay, but in Hebrews,
wait, pause, please.
Yeah.
Genesis 18 does mention the three angels. I don't know what he means by that. It literally says, in fact, here, let's find the verse. Hold on.
All right.
It says, all right, it's Genesis 18, verse 2. Looking up, he saw three men standing near him, and as soon as he saw them, sorry, I keep cutting out. Sorry, can you restart? I keep cutting out. Hold on. All right, restart now. Just cut it off at here, okay?
All right, got it.
Anyways, looking up, he saw three men standing near, As soon as he saw them, he ran from the entrance of the tent to greet them and bowing to the ground. And the word here, right, is not into any interpretation, right? So vehinai shloisha unushim, meaning, and he saw three men, he saw three people. So Sam Shamoun is already here, made a mistake. And let's continue.
Just three angels. Go.
In
listen
Hebrew,
to me.
okay, calm down.
Before
Hang
you
on.
move on,
In
Joe.
Hebrew,
Oh my goodness.
Sam,
Joe,
one second.
listen. I want to ask a question.
Sam, one second.
Show me in Genesis 18.
One sec. I muted the both of you. I muted the both of you just to stop. Okay, Joe, give Sam a minute to answer, and then okay, Joe, is that okay with you? I'm going to unmute you. Okay, Joe, is that okay? Okay, Sam, let me see, where are you? Elemental PQRS, unmute. Okay, you're unmuted.
Joe made an assertion, Ijaz. I want to challenge him again. Show me where it says three angels. And if he can't, tell me what the text says, not what you think in your imagination it says. So now what's your question, Joe?
Joe, you have to unmute yourself. I tried to.
Go ahead, Joe.
Can someone try to unmute him? I don't know if he's able to.
Wait,
there he goes. Yes.
In Hebrews chapter 13, verse 2, it says, "Do not forget to show hospitality to strangers, for by doing so, some people have shown hospitality to angels without knowing it." Now, if in this verse, in the commentary, it says it's referring to Genesis 18:19, where the three men appear to Abraham. Now, if that's the case, why does he just say you have shown hospitality to angels unknowingly? Why not say it was God? Because you believe it was God who appeared.
Assuming that the commentary.
One of the men was God, so that would be.
Can I answer you, Joe, or you're going to keep talking?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm going to challenge you to show me where the text itself says that it's Genesis 18, instead of telling you what a commentary says, because we're going to have a field day with commentaries. So why did you go to Hebrews 13, which doesn't tell us what appearance he has in mind? Because there are many places in the Old Testament, like even in Genesis 19, those were two angels that appeared to Lot. But conveniently, you want to attach it to Genesis 18 because of a commentary. Why don't you actually go to Jesus and go to Jesus where he says, your father Abraham rejoiced to see my day. He saw it and was glad. John 8:56. How convenient you don't go to Jesus saying, Abraham saw me and I saw him. Because the Jews respond, you're not yet 50 years old. You've seen Abraham? Truly I say to you, before Abraham came into being, I am. Yes, I did see him. He did see me because unlike Abraham came to being, I've always been there. So we saw each other, which is further confirmed in John 8:40. So, Joe, do you believe what Jesus said in John? Abraham and him saw each other? If so, where, Joe?
Pause.
So what does Hebrews chapter 13 verse 2 mean?
All right. So the thing is, right? Sam Shamoun attests that the essentially the three men being referred to inside the text are angels. Well, either he attests it, or either he's denying simply because the text does not say it. Okay. So the thing is, right? Sam Shamoun chastises, right? He chastises this person, Joe, I believe, for referring to the three angels in the text as angels because it says Anushim. What doesn't make any sense, right, is that the Kodesh Baruch Hu is now sending, three unnamed people, essentially to Avraham Avinu to deliver him three different messages. I believe it is one to speak about the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, one to console Avraham Avinu, about his essentially his circumcision, the wounds that he was, the pain that he was suffering from it, and another to deliver, I think, about the birth of Isaac. So the thing is, right, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is now sending three unnamed people. He bows in front of them immediately and says, my lords. What doesn't make any sense is that Avraham Avinu immediately recognizes these three people, as lords, He immediately bows to them. We do not see anywhere in the text that says HaKadosh Baruch Hu had, somehow informed Avraham Avinu, right, that these three people would be angels or these three people would be lords. Immediately upon him bowing, before him, essentially bowing to these three people, So why is it Avraham Avinu bows to these three people immediately? Why is it that he's bowing to these three people? It's because of the fact that they are shluchim, They are messengers sent from God. He immediately recognizes them as lords. Now, it doesn't make any sense, right, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is sending three unnamed people, not previously mentioned as prophets, not previously mentioned within the Tanakh, to deliver him three specific messages. They have been sent there. Now, we see, right, later that is confirmed even by Christian consensus, that this is not the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit manifesting in three different forms. They believe that it could be an allegory for it, However, the consensus is, when taken literally from the text, from when there's exegesis either from Christian commentators like Saint Jerome, etc., early church fathers as well. The consensus is that these three things are Gabriel, are the angel Gabriel, the angel, I think it's Gabriel, Michael, and Ephraim, to deliver the messages as aforementioned, and not essentially an allegory for the Trinity, or not somehow well, I mean, they believe it's an allegory for the Trinity, but not somehow some kind of three men previously sent by God that were not already angels.
Yeah,
All right,
sounds
go on.
like the whole 3 equals Trinity sounds like something CP would say.
Yeah, no, but really, look, Avraham Avinu. The main point is, okay, I don't want to repeat myself, right? Because I do that a lot. But Avraham Avinu, right? The main point is he immediately recognized them as lords.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, right. Go on.
He didn't make a statement about. I just want you to say this about how Judaism wasn't always monolithic, and it was First Temple and Second Temple Judaism is much different from modern Judaism. What would you say about that claim?
Literally all of these allegations that First Temple and Second Temple Judaism are different from each other. The only differences is literally just the only changes that were brought about, right?
Yeah.
Essentially, were from Nevi'im. They were from prophets. Okay, throughout the First and Second Temple period, there was no sort of change in the chains of transmission between these periods. Okay, of course, it's going to be different from modern Judaism in many ways, literally just as a result that they had access to more information, to more divine information at the time than we do. Does this mean that practice has changed? Does this mean that essentially our knowledge, our das, our knowledge of HaKadosh Baruch Hu changes as well? No. The difference is that the difference is that they had Basei Mikdash. They had houses, they had essentially the first and second temple, meaning that they worship differently. We will worship in the same manner. We will do Pesach, we will do various holidays in the same manner as they did when we have the Beis Hamikdash is reestablished. The only differences, and my final statement about them, the only differences were brought from prophets. Simply more access to divine information over time. Anyways, go on.
What about the claim of Judaism not always being monolithic?
Jews were always a monolith. Anybody who didn't subscribe to the monolith or did not, or did not recognize essentially the the various anshe, right, the various peoples, okay, as in various authorities, right, as not the final authority when it comes to essentially transmitting the law, were considered koifrim. Okay, we see with the Sadducees. The Sadducees were completely cut off from the rest of the Jewish people, which was primarily and still is Pharisaic, right? Because of the fact that they did not recognize the authority, and they immediately created a heresy. They rejected all other books of the entirety of the Hebrew Bible and focused on the 5 books, right, the Chumash, which were transmitted by Moshe Rabbeinu, transmitted by Moses. Now, we see that throughout time, nobody, the people who did not subscribe to this monolith and this monolith alone, okay, were literally died off as Jews, right? And they essentially assimilated into other societies, or they assimilated back into the Jewish monolith. So no, the Jewish people have always had one authority, transmitting authority from Moshe Rabbeinu, from Moses, right, all the way down to now. All the way down, even, and if you don't consider the rabbinic Jews, the Jews of now, right, transmitting all the way down until essentially the birth of Jesus. If you consider the rabbinic Jews not to be the proper keepers of the law today.
All right, so we can cut off now, right?
All right. I want you to record one thing though, right? About